Hi all. Okay, so there are a number of issues that many of you will need to address in your previous design, or at least have addressed for your next project for me. And I'll go through them as quickly as I can. So many of you are handing me a design that looks something like this. It's a bit lumpen. Actually, it's very lumpen, which is not good. And so I'll see if I can go through them one by one. Number one, if you have fillets that join major features to minor features, these are called minor fillets. They should actually be minor, all right? What you really want is a transition from one plane to the other. Let me see if I can get my design. So it should be just an overall shape. I mean, this could be more curved if you want and all that sort of thing, but that fillet there or that chamfer there is a transition from one to the other, for aesthetic, for cleaning, for usable, and mostly for injection molding reasons. I shouldn't say mostly, but all of those reasons together go up to making that feature a smaller. It should be smaller than these corner fillets. Like I think, well, I'm not sure what this one is, 5 or something, or 10, right? So that's 10, and this is 8, but 8 is still too large. That's because, have a look at what's happening here. On the corners, we've got one fillet interacting with another. That shouldn't happen. There should be a land between the two. So let's just explain what that means. There should be a space between the two. And that has to do as much with injection molding considerations, that between that mounting boss out in the interface and that wall interface, there should be enough space for enough material in the mold that it doesn't become weak or that it's not too thin, and that there should be smooth flow, because you've got to get the material to flow smoothly from one end. It's going to be injected somewhere in the middle here, and it's got to go all the way out to the ends here, and then it's got to join together somewhere over here and knit without creating knit lines. So all of these surfaces, like a lot of you have given me a sharp in here, very bad. I'll show you what I mean in this one here. All right, so design considerations, very important. Many of you have given me a hole all the way through, a shaft. It's not what this is. This is a mounting boss. Please, it must be a mounting boss. It must have a land on the bottom with another hole so that a screw can actually grip that hole on the land and connect this to the other thing. Otherwise, this is not doing anything. Likewise with this feature here, this cutout. The cutout can be decorative, but then it must also contribute to the strength. So let's just address that one there, this triangle, while we're at it. That's because whoever did it, and that was a few of you, put the triangle cutout beneath the shell cutout, and it should be before it. And I don't care if there's a modeling problem that's created by like that. You are here to tell the program what you want, not the program tell you what it can do. You must overcome those obstacles, and they're fairly easy to overcome by just making sure that everything is tangential. I'll show you how that works in a second. So many of you have not got, for instance, these fillets. Let's just suppress it, and then let's just add one in here just to show you what you would have. 2 millimeters, I think. Okay, this is not in any sense desirable. One, from a molding point of view, you're not allowing material to flow very nicely. 2, from a strength point of view, that's creating a stress point. You don't want stress points. It's an actual thing that happens where materials can't go around corners properly, and then they create stress lines. So that's a place where this handle's going to fail, it's going to break. To create the mold is very, very difficult. You've now got to have these sharp edges on the inside and on the outside. So nothing about that makes sense. It should be a nice largish, that's too small. Let's say 5 or something. Okay, it should do something like that. All right, so those are the design issues. Aesthetically, then the other one, many of you have given me a handle which is like 80 millimeters wide. I don't know how anyone has the hand that size to grab the handle that big. Please make your handle the right size. Have a look at the anthropometric data. I think the diameter is somewhere between 30 and 40. I may be wrong, which is optimal for people to hold. So find out what that diameter is, and then the circumference of that diameter will give you the sort of circumference. So you can actually measure here. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get this right, but you can keep clicking these. 1, 2, 3. Total length 40. You can see he has 40. So probably total length of around 80 or 70 if you go all the way around. All right, and then a few of you also giving me like very dramatic kind of swoopy handles, which give you just a smidgen in the middle of something which is optimal to hold, and the rest is going to be so wide that it's not nice to hold. So please look at that. Some of you have also given me, let's just go to this item here. You can see the footprint here is 290 by 180. Please stick to that. 290 by 180 is about an A4 size. If you give me a handle which is 120 millimeters by 80 millimeters, if I measure that on a ruler, go and do it for yourself. Just, right, you should be able to shake your own head and say, that's ridiculous, the handle can't be that size. Please, we're designing for the real world, we're designing real products with real aesthetics, with real design considerations. I'm looking for those things. I will be marking you accordingly to them as well. All right, so now to the actual technical aspects of the sketches. Many of you will have given me a sketch which looks something like this. I've actually resolved this, and so I'll have to unresolve it. Not sure where that is. Let's just get midpoint, probably coincident, and midpoint. There we go. That's gone. Okay, so you will have gotten a sketch which is fully dimensioned and which is good sketch because it's nice, it's closed, it's gone grey in the middle, but it hasn't turned black. It must turn black. Full stop, no questions asked. If it doesn't turn black, it's not fully defined. The whole thing must turn black, especially on a simple sketch like this. On the splines are going to be a bit more lenient for now until later. You will have to then make sure that that happens. What you can try and do here is you might be able to grab the center point, drag this out. No, you can't. All right, so you can drag that out. And then here you might be able to drag this back onto that piece. But if you can't, like I can't, just Control Shift to between that midpoint. Make sure, of course, the center lines meet the bounding box, whatever that bounding box is, so that you're grabbing the center line definitely of both of those lines. Grab that point and then say make them coincident, and that turns fully black. Although it's not fully black, I think we're missing a dimension here. What are we missing? So what you can do is drag it. There we go. Okay, I can see what's wrong. So that just means that this here needs to be one of these, or both of them needs to be made horizontal. There we go, fully black. And that's what I'm looking for. Sorry, one thing that I didn't speak about here, the rationale for this particular shape. Originally in my design, the original sketch was squared off, which is what most of you have got. And then I used that to show you how you can create completely rounded off end. And so this design has a rationale to it, which is that here's the mounting point. The arms of this item wrap around that mounting point in a uniform fashion, in a rational fashion. That's rational just from the point of view visually, but also from the point of view of what makes sense as a design feature for tooling and for mold flow and all sorts of things. So this is not nice. This is not acceptable. I want to see something more considered than this. This is just thrown together. So let's change this and see what happens to this. Okay, so that's looking better immediately. This might make sense if this cutout were a little bit more considered. So let's have a look at that cutout, because this is what I'm also getting a lot of you doing. Seem to be copying from one another for quite a bit. Please watch out that you don't copy other people's mistakes. Please don't hand me a sketch like this. It needs to be fully defined for a start. So give me one offset dimension is good. but it also needs to make sense as far as being something which is fully controllable. And you can only do that when you're kind of systematically making things vertical and horizontal when they should be, giving items dimensions where they should have dimensions. This should either have an angle or have a dimension over here, one of the two, right? And then this should be controlled as to how far away from the edge it is, right? So that should then be something like that. And make sure that they are mirrored, both sides. Okay, so that's looking, yeah, it's looking more acceptable. I would round these a bit more, and I would make this a little bit smaller to give a bit of a more sort of considered space around here. This doesn't have to be fully symmetrical by any means, but give it some space. Okay, so what else? We've dealt with that. Let's deal with this sketch. Okay, here a lot of you have done this, right? So you have a spline, which is great, and it is. I can have a look, and I can see that you have here the symmetrical marks. So I just mouse over, I can see the symmetrical marks. I can see that it's tangent in some way, but you're not giving me full tangency. In fact, I've probably fixed this up already. No, I haven't. This line needs to be tangent to one of his edges. So let me just get rid of this line. Okay, so that line should be tangent to this edge, tangent. So I'm going to look for those marks. I'm going to go in here, and if I don't see a tangency, that's going to lose you marks. So this doesn't have tangency. Click on that edge. That edge. Come on, that did not work. Okay, tangency, and then these two should also be tangent. At the moment they are tangent because I put that in, but many of you don't have it, so make sure if you've mirrored an item across, it does meet as a tangency. You can check its tangency by not being able to pull these handles up or down. You can pull them left or right, but not up or down. Okay, and then many of you have dimensioned to the center line. It's not what I'm looking for. It must go across the center line. So this is not okay. And you should have some dimensions in here. So it should go from there to there. All right. And similarly from that point to that point. Okay. So I think that kind of covers it. If I've forgotten something, you can send me a message. The chamfer side, yeah, so okay, some of you have put chamfers in, and I've had a look at your geometry, and I can see why you've put in very large chamfers. It's because smaller ones wouldn't work, and that's because primarily to do with the shape that you had at the bottom not having sufficient tangency. But this creates a horrible mess here. By the way, I don't know if I addressed it previously, but please don't allow one fillet to interfere with another, either chamfer or fillet. There should always be a little bit of land in between at least. This is completely unacceptable. This, as far as a manufacturable thing, is like a nightmare. Can't hand me this and say you still understand injection molding. This is not how you would do it. So please make this a reasonable size. And if it's not working, the geometry, if it's not doing what you want it to do, it's because that plane and that plane are not tangent. So that's going to create problems over here. And then some of these items might not be tangent either. Also going to create problems. There's a sort of a disunity in terms of the way you created the sketch. There's if you're slightly offset, it can upset the geometry of your item. All right, so that's that. I'm going to move to the drawing side of things in the next video.